Hello, my name is Jamie Birchall, and you are listening to and or watching our podcast called Wormhole Pinball Presents.
Pinball Presents.
Wormhole Pinball Presents.
Today, I'm very, very excited to be joined by two great individuals.
Today, I'm really excited to be joined by a very special guest.
And today, I'm very excited to be joined by two awesome guests all the way from Arizona.
Hello and welcome to the Wormhole and our podcast we call Wormhole Pinball Presents. And for episode 41, I brought out a big gun. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome two-time Twipy award recipient, YouTube star, TNT Amusements own, the one and only Todd Tuckey.
That's me, guys.
How are you? Welcome to the Wormhole virtually, Todd.
Well, James, I was thrilled you invited me.
Thank you. Well, I first met you in the 2021 Houston Arcade Expo. We have a booth. The Wormhole has a booth, and we brought, I think it was a Big Bang bar.
You did,
and
I played it, and you had one of the special after ones made.
That's right, the 3 extra parts. Yeah, we got that from the banning auction of the Museum of Pinball collection.
Yes, you did, and you got banged over the head for it too.
We got it though.
But you got it. It's
we got it.
204 games.
It is. I sent you the list.
I did. I'm looking at this list. I'm amazed.
Yeah. And
I
so
have not seen or played a bunch of these.
We're going to showcase a lot of those at the Wormhole East Museum that we're building in downtown Houston, and that'll be a 2027 initiative. So we just don't have the space at the Wormhole, but we have a 14,000 square foot building that we're putting all these machines in.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm going to miss the Houston show, but it's the exact same weekend as my film show. I go to that twice a year religiously. I do not miss it.
Well, we're going to miss you this year, but
I was asked to come too, but I'm gonna sadly miss it.
Will you be at Expo in Chicago?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
so TPF is your next trip then?
TPF will be the next show.
Okay.
Then after that would be the Pintastic, which is in we love that one in Massachusetts. So that's a lot of fun.
So real quick before we get into the interview, I'm from New York and New Jersey, but I lived in Clinton, New Jersey, which was not far from Philly.
Not far, no.
And so I spent about 4 years there, and I love Philadelphia. My issue with Philly is your sport fans are a little nutty.
That's right.
I mean, you guys are crazy.
Listen, who else but Philadelphia can have our sports fans and the mummers? Mummers are the most unique groups of people in America. Unbelievable.
Tell people what they are.
Mummers are, this goes back like 100 years.
Yeah.
It was born in South Philadelphia. It's the home of the cheesesteaks and a lot of really nice little tiny restaurants on side streets. I mean, you will never go hungry in South Philadelphia. The mummers are a lot of men and now women that make up these elaborate costumes, feathers, and they're outrageous costumes, but they're stunning. And then they practice all year different routines to try to win and compete and get awards. The mummers have been strutting down Main Street for like 100 years. Occasionally, there's been a detour for problems with the road or something like that, or too much snow, ice. It happens on New Year's Day, so you're kind of contingent on weather. Lately, the weather's been great, no snow, and it's worked out well. But you can imagine the rain would not do well with the feathers.
My cousins live in Philly, and they send me pictures every year of it, and it's wild.
And you know, everybody listening to your podcast has heard Golden Slippers, and you've probably heard the Mummers string bands playing that song. I mean, it's really hard not to get that out of your head. You could hear it, and then it's neat to see it too. But they do modern songs too.
That's really cool. Let's talk about on your website, TNTAmusements.com. You have a really great history section that kind of outlines your story. So we're going to delve into that a little more, right?
Sure.
How did you start as an operator, and how did you fall into the pinball arcade games? How did you fall into this?
Big mistake, but it's too late now. Too late. Oh, Michelle will get the phone. We got involved in 1979. Officially, TNT Amusements was born in 79. Before that, in 73, I actually opened my first business, which was TNT Projection Service. I used to bring a projector and a screen and films, and I could be hired to. I mostly did birthday parties. I did hundreds of birthday parties.
Okay.
But I would bring the projector and screen. This is before videotape. So the group would have a film that was shipped to them, maybe a Bell Telephone. There were a lot of free films you could rent, buy, or borrow. And then we would run them on a screen in wherever room or setup they had. And I did that for years and got my initial cash so I could start buying arcade games. Because think about this, the Space Invaders was $2,000 in 1979 money. That's about $5,000 today.
Yeah.
So these games were not cheap. Now they sound cheap. The first brand new pinball I bought was closed out. It was Tri-Zone. It was $1,300 because the new Gorgar was coming out, which was $1,599. And they wanted to get rid of the few Tri-Zones they had left. And wow, I could save $200, which is a lot when you're adding up your money. Of course, Gorgar made a lot more money than Tri-Zone.
Yeah.
So sometimes it doesn't work out as well as you hope. But I got involved actually initially in the early 70s buying games from my uncle's boat dock down in Tennessee. He wanted to have a game room. And I said, oh, I see games around. So I'd buy a couple old mechanical pins. There was jukeboxes back then. 45 jukeboxes weren't expensive. And they worked because they weren't that old. See, now when you look at it, a 1960s or 70s jukebox now is now 50 years old, 60 years old.
Yeah, they're hard to find the 45s.
But back then, they worked very well. Oh, 45s are old.
Yeah.
Never have any trouble getting it. But I started tinkering with arcade video games, pinball machines. Back in the old days, the video games were black and white, like Biplane. Remember when I bought that? That was like $400 used. And we had a bunch of stuff in his game room, but I never thought of it as a business.
Okay.
But in 79, it looked like everything was booming. Everybody was going nuts. That's when Space Invaders came out, Pac-Man, Asteroids, and I'm thinking, I could be part of this huge business. And I started investing all my money. I had another business too, films, the projection service, buying and selling movies. And I took all that money and bought games.
Mm.
So that's what started this mess. 45 years later, I'm still doing it. But I have a huge customer base. I still have 13,000 active customers. Active. If they sell the game back to us or they trade it in or don't have the game anymore, I remove them. They're no longer active. But we've been doing this for so many years. It's just amazing.
It is amazing. And that's why I wanted to have you on. I mean, one of the things that we're doing is at the Wormhole with these interview series, we're just documenting what's happened. And thank you for sitting down on this. It's
Sure.
How many machines did you have when you started selling them in front of your house?
I had a very long driveway and it was on a very busy road. In Northeast Philadelphia, Vree Road. It was a snow emergency route, and it was lots of traffic. A bus route went by, so everybody drove past my house. And I used to throw games out, put them in front of my house, and people would come and take them. I just put 4 games in the back of TNT to throw out too, hoping somebody takes them. But that's the way you got rid of the stuff. People would come by and pick it up. You'd put it out 2 or 3 days before trash day. And it worked out well. I got rid of a lot of games, but my partner and I had a partner for 2 years, and things were bad. in 1984, the games were not making any money. Arcades were
Okay.
closing. Valley was
Yeah.
closing their arcades. It was bad. And I told my partner, I said, we got to get rid of this stuff. We got storage lockers filled with games. They were all in my garage. I said, let's see if we can sell a few. So I rolled a game out to the front property, 2 or 3, and put a big poster board that said, arcade video games, $100 and up. And let me tell you, August through December, almost to Christmas, when it was even cold and you could see your breath in front of you, I sold 400 games out of my driveway. 400. I had, now a lot of them weren't mine. I was selling so many games, I got rid of all the extras we wanted to get rid of. Vendors were dropping games off at my house. They'd bring a pickup truck, clear out their storage unit. I would pay $25 for a working black and white game like Star Castle, Crash, Asteroids, Deluxe Asteroids, anything black and white, $25 each. Anything color would be at least 100, sometimes 150, sometimes 200. It depends. But I only paid $100 for Tempest and Missile Commands because they were the hardest, the Tempest hardest to keep working.
Yeah.
The Missile Command, you couldn't convert it because it had that big trackball in it.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to use Missile Command as a kit. So that was $175, my cheapest color game. Tempest and Sega's Eliminator, which was a vector game, were my next 2 cheapest games, $225. I sold 10 brand new Eliminators from my driveway. They were either still in the box or returns. The game never made any money. And Eastern Music sold me them for $125 each. I remember Phil says, Todd, I'll give them to you for $125 a piece. And baby, I sold 10 of them. I also bought the pinball machine Hyperball, brand new. They were all returns because they had little issues and things, $125 each. And they had maybe 200 plays on. We probably sold 8 of them. But we had a lot of problems with them because they didn't make the wood that caught the balls correctly. It was warping, and remember, it was trouble. We sold them for $450. Brand new Hyperball for $450. So, but you couldn't, they weren't real pinballs. And I still sold them, but it was I won't say I'm not unhappy I got them in, but what's really funny is I'm starting to get some stuff back that we sold years ago. I mean, other brand new games in the box. Omega Race, $150, Zaxxon, $200, Sinistar, $200 in the box. Nobody was playing it, and the distributor wanted them out. Donkey Kong Jr. were $200.
Donkey Kong Jr. I put a lot of quarters in Donkey Kong Jr.
Donkey Kong did, but Jr. turned out to be a bust.
And I like Jr.
Now the cabarets were different. He had a bunch of cabarets. They were $500 each.
Okay.
Matrix, Robotron, Stargate. I bought all the ones he would sell me. They were like new. They were near new. There was no cigarette burns. I guess you could say that was the golden days. But then again, we were only marking them up a few $100s and blowing them out.
Right.
I had 2 Varcons. 2. $7.99 is what I sold them for.
There you go.
They came back. Then I got more money. The last Varcon I sold was perhaps 8 or 9 years ago, and I got like $2,800 for it. It was one of my original ones.
That's
now,
great.
Of course, they're crazy.
So you grew so much. You bought the building in '86.
86. I was renting public storage. The public storage people. I had all these units. They wouldn't give me 1 cent off. I said, you'd think, he said, I got 8 of these units. You'd think they'd give me a discount. No discounts. There's the fee. If you don't like it, get out. So I rented a warehouse nearby. It was a brand new building, and I rented part of it. It was 1,500 square foot. I moved into that. It was $600 a month, which was fine. And then suddenly I was offered this building, and I bought this building It was I think it was 340,000. And
Nice.
of course, we had 34,000 down, thanks to my father. And
Pops.
I got a mortgage.
Yeah.
Mortgage. That's how I did it. We bought this, and then in 2007, this is 5,000 square foot.
Okay.
In 2007, I bought the building next to me, the same identical space, 5,000 foot, and that it was 440. It went up somewhat,
Yeah.
but so now we have 10,000 square foot.
Unbelievable.
We're
Did you
still here.
see?
We've been doing games the longest, I think. Dedicated home sales. A lot of vendors around the country, or even the world, would sell games mostly at Christmas time. They
Right.
10 games, clean them up, and sell them for Christmas presents. We were the only year-round people for years. Then I had some people jump into it and start doing it. Most of my competitors had arcades anyway, and the arcade would be the showroom. So I did something similar here. So you know what? I'll have the showroom, and then people could come in. I could fit about 60 games, more or less, here and there. And one of my customers said, I would love to rent your space for an hour so me and my kid could play. And I said, wow, that'd be a great idea. So in 87, we started birthday parties. And this is before this whole back end was done. We literally had the offices up front, and then as soon as you came through the two doors into the party room, it was just space, and you could see the hulking cabinets behind it, because we had rows of cabinets. We turned all the lights out, so you were under a light where the birthday tables were.
Oh yeah.
And then when you looked, you could see all these games, but just like the shadows of them. It was kind of neat, a little spooky too. But we booked tons of parties. Unbelievable. We were
Yeah.
So the township, somebody was upset that we were competing in the birthday party business. And the township said, I can't continue unless I put a firewall. And then I had to get licensed. So I pay $3,000 a year to have private parties that can't be open to the public. They do not want an arcade. So that we don't say arcade. We said you can book our showrooms for private parties. And since COVID, we started doing small groups. 1 to 10 people can now come in as long as it's not booked already. But I can't have 2 groups in.
Oh, okay.
One at a time. They're getting a private rental, basically. And that's how I'm able to do the parties. So if you think about it, I've been doing parties since 1987. The only person doing parties that long, the only company, was maybe Chuck E. Cheese. So we've been doing exclusive arcade parties, flat rate. So I started the flat rate arcade. You pay one price, everything's free. I was the first person to do it because I wasn't allowed to take quarters.
Oh,
It wasn't an arcade.
there you go. Good move.
Stumbled at that. But now everybody's taking me up on that. And you see all the flat rate arcades that are all over the place now.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what we're gonna do when we open the place.
That's what most people do.
Yeah.
It's the smartest move. And here's why. If you're a quarter arcade, you walk through the front door, you walk around and see what you want to play. You haven't paid any money. You look around and say, well, there's 60 games here, but I only see 3 or 4 I want to play. You go over to the change machine, you stick a 5 in, or maybe a 10, you get a handful of quarters. You play those 3 or 4 games, and then you're done. You'll walk out and you'll still have quarters in your pocket. You only got $4 out of the guy, or $5 or $6.
Right.
On. And maybe they'll come back, but probably not. But if you tell them for $20, you can stay as long as you want all day. Flat rate of $20, $25. You can even go out and have lunch and come back. It's all different. Watch what they end up playing, though.
Yeah.
They don't play $20 worth of games. They don't. They don't play that. So
it's a good move. You should have.
They think it's a good deal.
Should have copyrighted it.
Yeah.
You blew it.
I should be copyrighted. I wish I was.
So you've seen multiple slowdowns, right? You saw the Atari slowdown. You saw the 90 console war slowdown, the death of arcades. You've seen, even, early 2000s with pinball, what's been your success? I mean, of
Perseverance, service. I can't tell you how many people call for to get games fixed they bought from Joe Blow, and Joe
Mhm.
Blow doesn't have service. And
Yeah.
we've offered free phone service for years. I have fixed hundreds and hundreds of games over the phone. Honest to God, our number one service call, number one, is they lost the key.
Yeah.
No key. I can't help them. We had master keys for years. So I would buy, 1,000 locks with this certain key number. But once those keys and locks were gone, I say, oh, you don't have that number in it. You have to get a new number. So every 2 or 3 years, I'm on another number. Well, I don't have any of the old numbers when people lose it. I said, I don't have a key. I can't sell you one because the key's not available. So we fixed that about 5 years ago. We put in a lock that snaps tight, but it's turned with your finger. There's no key to lose.
Nice.
If the guy is putting it in the store, I keep locks, so I can give him a lock and a key. But that turn button, the number 2 service call, is the on-off switch.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people can say, nope, it's not the on-off switch. We turn the games on with a switch on the wall or an outlet strip. I said, just try the on-off switch. I argued with them. And I said, if I send somebody out, you're going to have to pay. And if it's the on-off switch, you're going to have to pay because I've sent a guy out, one of my techs, in a truck, gas,
Yeah.
then they try it. And then the next thing out of the mouth, well, who turned it off? And I said, well, I can tell you I didn't, but somebody turned it off thinking they were helping.
As a small business owner myself, we own a small IT staffing firm, my wife and I. I think the ability to pivot is vital as well. Okay. And knowing the market conditions and knowing when I'm able to go, okay, I'm vested too much on this. I need to go to this. And so anyone who's been in business for as long as you have can persevere and pivot.
I instead of pivot, I say pull rabbits out of the hat.
Okay.
That's what I do, is pull rabbits out of the hat, because there's always some kind of fire or crisis, and everybody's having a stroke, and then we can fix everything. I used to tell my daughters when something was going wrong, I said, Daddy can fix this. Relax. And usually can. So in the case of a broken game, we can fix this. There are certain games we don't sell anymore because there's difficulty fixing them.
Yeah.
One of the driving games, Daytona, Sega's Daytona, nobody wants to work on it. There's a million circuit boards in it. There's so many possible problems, and I just can't offer service anymore. I said, I'm really sorry. Now we have outside service guys now. I have a nice collection. Actually, we keep this list. These are phone numbers of people that work on games. File every phone in the building. So if somebody calls up and they say they have a slot machine, I can call. I say, well, these 2 guys work on slot machines.
Awesome.
But I don't get involved with it. Sometimes some of the people send me, a gift card or something. A couple of the guys, one guy does free service, warranty service for me. When I sell a game, the first 30 days, everything's covered, and Kurt will go out and make adjustments if needed. Honest to God, there's virtually nothing that can't be solved over the telephone or sending a part. Because, see, like a pinball machine, we put all new parts in the flippers, new end of stroke switches, new cabinet switches, coil sleeve inside, a new flipper ball, a new boot on the top, a flip plunger and link. We change all those things. Now, a brand new part could fail, yes.
Yeah.
We start out doing that. I would say the biggest issue, there's 2 big issues with pinballs and video games. Cold solder connections, the header pins along the edge of the boards and on lamp sockets too. Ice cold now because the games are 20, 30, 40 years old.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And leaking capacitors.
Yeah.
Now, we just ran into this. I have 6 or 7 Revolution X logic boards. We got in a Rev X. The monitor was bad. We put another monitor in, and the board doesn't power up. So we discovered that on that particular Midway board, there are all these surface mount capacitors on the board, and they're all leaking. There's like 8 or 9 of them on the board. They're not on Terminator. They're on Rev X. That's probably, my guy looked at it under, he says, I think your whole problem is these leaky caps. We just ordered a boatload of them, and we're going to shotgun a whole bunch of these Rev X boards and see if we can get them running. But we think that's what it is because we can see the acid has gotten under a couple of the little chips.
Ouch.
Capacity.
It's amazing, these techs, though. They're amazing. When you get a great text like that, when you with years of experience like yourself, it's amazing that you can troubleshoot these things.
And you basic knowledge, a meter, some good tools, a good solder sucker, or a gun that sucks the solder out, a good solder iron. We use the tiny. I always use lead-free solder. I started with silver solder before there was lead-free. I had to buy silver solder. Back in the old days, silver solder was $40 a roll. Regular solder was 10.
Ooh.
But guess what? When you have silver solder and you're reheating all these header pins and the smoke's coming up and you're going one pin at a time,
Yeah,
breathing all the stuff in. I've been using, we started with silver solder 40 years ago. And then when lead-free solder, which is $35 a roll, so it's not cheap for 40.
Hey, you save $5 though.
You save money, yeah. So the silver solder, I think it was 75 a roll. I think 70, 65,
Oof.
70. The last time I bought it. So,
Well, your lungs thank you.
well, nobody's going to get cancer because of the solder.
There you go. There you go. So you studied, I'm pivoting a little, but you studied film at Temple University.
Yes.
What did you do with your degree?
Well, I make YouTube videos.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
I graduated with Bob Saget. He was in my class.
I wanted to ask you a Bob Saget story later.
And yeah.
But you can tell it now. Give me your favorite Bob Saget story.
Well, it was the second semester. There were 2 semesters a year, and we were in the film class. This was the final thing to graduate with a film degree, and we had to make a movie on 16 millimeter. This isn't the easy stuff with video. We had to film. They back and then the standard was Bolex, and a Bolex camera holds 100 foot of film, which at sound speed is 3 minutes.
Okay.
You had to make a movie. You were allowed 10 rolls of film, 10 3-minute rolls of film.
All right.
If the film was going well, they sometimes gave you more film if you needed it. But you had to use a cue. And you got with the camera a heavy duty, they called it Niagara, reel-to-reel tape recorder. This is the same kind they use in the movie studios for years. It's the standard. Heavy as hell. So you start the tape recorder on record, then it goes to microphones that you've placed around your set, and then you start the camera and then you clap it. Because later you're going to have a separate soundtrack and then you're going to have a separate picture. You have to have a way of syncing it up.
Oh, that makes sense.
The reel-to-reel tape is transferred to magnetic 16 millimeter film. And then you have this, what they call a gang of as many scenes as you have. So the splices don't show up on the screen when you make your print. You had to butt one end of one and another here. Otherwise, you'd see this stupid splice. They were cement. They weren't tape. They were cement.
Wow.
Splice. So the cement was on the black leader. So you'd have a picture, then it would go to black leader, and then the B picture would start, and then it would go A and B. So 2 were just films. Then you had your soundtrack. You had synced sound where you talk, and then that's on one piece of film. Your sound effects on another piece of film. So if you wanted better clarity on like shutting a door, rather than the sound you recorded, you could lay this on top and the door would sound better. Then you had your music track. So you ended up having 5 pieces of film running through this gang.
Wow.
And you're spinning this big reel with 5 reels on it and to edit. And Bob and I spent hours editing our films. The good news is with 15 of us in the class, only Bob and I got an A minus because the teacher says I don't give A's.
Oh,
The best you can get is A minus. His film won an award.
no
Mine
kidding.
didn't. Now I do have my film up on YouTube.
Oh, you do?
12 minutes long. It's a story about my father.
Oh,
And, I wrote the music myself, and I went to a lot of trouble. I ended up cutting stuff. You take stuff out. I had a whole sequence of sync sound. It probably was 4 minutes long, and it didn't work. I had it in the film, and I said, "This is awful," and I chopped it all out. So that's what editors do. They look at the stuff and they say, "This isn't working. I'll cut this out." Excuse me. No, but the film turned out well. I was very pleased with the end result. Beautiful black and white.
did you ever do TV commercials in Philadelphia for
I
you?
used to run them. Yes.
Okay.
Started first I had them produced. So cable access was so,
Right.
oh my God, it was cheap. It was insane. And everybody
Yeah.
watching cable access. Everybody's trying to find a channel with something on it.
Yeah.
And you didn't have that many channels. So I did a lot of cable access 30 and 60-second spots.
Awesome.
And we started doing synced up where I would come in and say a little bit and come in, rent our place, that kind of stuff. So I started cable access probably in 1990.
Yeah.
1995, I decided to make an infomercial. I had made them up until then, but they only ran at trade shows. Just
Okay.
shows that we go to now, like Houston, you'd have a booth, and
Right. And you
know,
could run the
you went
commercial.
to a home show and you're showing pinball machines. You have a TV set and a VCR, and you
Yeah.
you're in, and this is TNT. This is how we work on the game. I have all those videos up on YouTube.
Awesome.
And then my 30-minute one is when we went all out, where I, I actually sat and we put titles in. We did all this extra stuff, but Kurt and I put it together. Kurt was my, he literally directed everything. So he took care of all that. And that show ran for years, I guess 7 or 8 years, the same show.
Yeah.
Send me pictures. They love it. They watch it. They memorize the dialogue. I mean, it was amazing how many people
Yeah.
still
Because your
remember.
personality is absolutely perfect for the 80s and 90s local TV commercial. I mean, it's
Silly stuff. A lot of Three Stooges humor, eye pokes.
yeah, because you didn't have Crazy Eddie in Philly, did you?
He was here.
Okay.
Crazy Eddie had his infomercial
Right?
spots. He did a lot of spots.
Yeah.
We had a Crass Brothers men's store. He was the king of clothes, and he did these short spots. TV, tacky TV was big.
Yeah.
Afford the networks. To give you an idea, years ago, I could run 30. I could have a 30 or 60-minute spot for $6 or $7.
Right.
Dollars.
Yeah.
They'd be regions. So you could have Bucks County, then you could book Swarthmore and this. So
Okay.
I would book a lot of places, and I was all over the TV screens. And people found it. It was midnight and after. But if I wanted to run it on a local channel, one of the channels that's network, let's say,
Yeah.
they only gave you spots between like 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. They were like $2,000 for 30 minutes.
Forget that.
I tried one, no calls. It was like 5 calls. Wasn't worth it. So I just kept the cable access stuff.
It just brilliant. Just it's so brilliant. So I
I
mean,
tried it again. Believe it or not, I spent thousands of about $20,000 running cable access again. It was a local channel, and I appear in the logs. We looked in the logs. We called the show, oh God, what did we call it? Arcade. I tried to get the word arcade game room or something, so people would kind of know what the show is about. I don't
Right.
even remember. I tried, but nobody's switching channels. There's so much material on TV.
Yeah.
The only way they'd find me is if they happen to look at the titles, the upcoming programs. That's why the title was catchy, or All American Arcade. That's what it was.
Oh, nice.
And uh, I didn't get calls. It was like
Ah,
nobody's calling, nobody's accessing. I even had the QR code for the last year. Big QR code that appears 4 or 5 times during the show. I asked people, how did you find out about this? Oh, we did a Google search.
yeah.
One thing now, Google search or friends.
So who gave you the idea to go to YouTube, and when did you do that?
2010, one of the
Okay.
guys working for me, he said, this YouTube, back then it was only 15 minutes,
That's right.
maximum of 15 minutes. And there was no money or anything. You could do YouTube. So I said, well, let's try. We'll put the hour-long infomercial up. But he broke it a little differently than I would, because he ended up putting up in 6 parts. I technically could have put it up in 4 parts
Right.
and had more, but he broke it. It was fine, and that got me on. That was in 2010, and it did well. We also started filming games that we were selling to people. And I remember once, the first time we did it, I put it up on YouTube and was going to send them a link. Back in the old days, it was automatically published live for everyone.
Yeah.
I got all these emails. I said, where are they coming from? Because I made the video just for the one guy. And I said, wow, this is great. I got all these new people. People are hungry for programming, hungry for it.
Yeah.
But now there's so much.
I know. But look at these numbers of what you've accomplished here. 47,500 subscribers, Todd Tuckey.
A lot of subscribers. But you see now, my average view per video is between 1,500 and 3,000. That's it.
Okay.
That's
Well,
all
there's a
that
lot of content.
Now, my old content gets watched and viewed. I make about 500 a month.
Okay.
The revenues, the stupid little ads that appear in the front
Yeah.
of the show. I'm certainly not going to,
You're not going to retire on that.
That's not going to bring me a whole lot of cash.
No, it's not.
But
It's not.
it's fine. And as I said, the YouTube was primarily to get my name out there. And people say, well, I'd really like to buy, a Sopranos pinball. And I said, well, here's 2 videos of a couple I did, over the, last few years. And people watch it. And they said, well, is that the one I'm getting? I said, no, but you're going to get one just like it.
Yeah.
And I'll make a new video just for you when it's ready.
It's
a lot of my
smart.
games are not. My problem is the game isn't finished, and if I send them a video of the game that we have for sale and it's not finished, oh well, it doesn't look dirty, So I don't want to do that. I only want to send them a finished result video. So
There you go.
and
Who does
that? We have a few people that oh well, I have to see it before I buy it. I said, well, you're not paying for it. You're just giving me a deposit, $500 deposit. I said, and if you don't like it, I'll give you the 500 back. No, but everybody has a different way of doing it.
Yeah. It must be unbelievable, the stories you have, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions later about different customers, but staying on YouTube real quick, who does all the video content? Like, who edits all your videos?
Oh, I do.
How many do you put out a week?
Well, things have changed. I used to spend 5 to 10 hours editing videos, floating stuff in, creating title boards. I have an old editor, so when the picture rolls like this or something, I have to do it. I can't just say, I'll just put this effect in and that effect. I have to actually create the effect. So it takes me more time because of the program I'm using. But the problem is I did all that, and my live videos still get more views than my edited ones.
Yeah.
And live, I have a set opening title and a set closing title.
Okay.
And they're pre-recorded. And because, the opening title tries, as you know, when you do a live show of any sort, you should have a lead in.
Absolutely.
1 minute lead in, so people get a notification on the phone. Oh, TNT's going live. Then they get this title board that has the music playing and but they know it's coming and it's a minute away.
Absolutely.
At the end, I have 2 minutes of end credits that have my QR code on there for a while, big. So, and then I also I'm on Cameo. I've recorded a lot of fun stuff for Cameo for people, special birthday greetings, and you bought that pinball. Did you really need it? That kind of stuff.
That's fun. That's fun.
I usually make a 4 or 5 minute video for people that
That's nice.
buy the Cameo thing. But it's a good way for me to end the show.
Yeah.
Plus, you have the live chat, so you can immediately respond.
The immediate interaction with them.
Now, I do have the chat when I do an edited one. Like we just did an edited one on Spectrum. It was very little editing, but I think it came across well. We got a lot of views on that. A very misunderstood and maligned pinball all those years. Now everybody wants it. So
Now they want those.
it's
Now.
like TX Sector.
Yeah. I don't know if we have one of those.
When you do a TX Sector right, the game is friggin' terrific.
Yeah.
And the music track on that was the same guy that did Tales of the Arabian Nights and Theater of Magic. This was his second pinball. Joe Zebras.
Those are great machines.
And he did so much great sound. And I made sure I pointed all out. So this guy went all out. This is his second machine. So he was, and he did a great job.
Let's not gloss over this achievement, sir. You're a 2-time Twipy Award winner.
I should be 3 and 4.
I loved watching you at Twipys as a host. You did a fantastic job with the moto.
Oh, God, I wish we did that again. We had so much fun. And, it's funny because honest to God, I never knew if I was going to win. But the first 2 times I lost. But what I did, they asked us to produce a video acknowledging a win. If we did, and they'd run the video if you couldn't be present. But I did both. I was the only one to do both. Well, I would do a loser. So like the first time I lost, they said, lost? I said, Zach, they won. It was so much. We had all this fun. So I did losing videos just in case. And then so I did have a losing video for the 2 times I won.
So let's hear your opinion on this, sir. Should we help bring back the Twipys live and in person at TPF 2025?
Tell me that one more time.
Should we bring back the Twipys live and in person at TPF 2025?
Oh, I think, you know what? Did you see all the people in there?
Yeah.
They loved it.
I went against it because I was streaming upstairs the tournament in the Space City Open. Wormhole streams it, and I took a break and came down just to watch you in a moto. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Everybody loved it, and I
love Colin Alsheimer of the Kineticists and This Week in Pinball. He's a huge proponent of what we're doing here in Houston, and we're here for you, Colin. Okay, what we want to do, what can we do to help? Todd and I are here. We're saying 2025 TPF. Let's go back to live, a moto. What do we need?
Everybody would love it.
Everyone would love it. Roger Harris and Paul McKinney, I've had you guys on the podcast. You're TPF organizers. Give us back the room and let's go. Let's go to the live. I've got a host right here. He's ready to go. I'll even film.
I would do it. I mean,
yeah, you would.
Give me a chance to get in a suit again.
There you go. Well, you did a good job.
Rarely wear one.
Rebecca Solom, she was like the pregame. She did great. Everyone did great. Is it outstanding?
And you know what? It was kind of at the expo, Pinball Expo, they used to have a banquet Saturday night. That
Okay.
was the high point of that show. Everybody was in suits dressed up. There were a few that didn't, but it was like a nice, classy ending to this show. And uh, I guess he was having a hard time selling tickets. I don't know. It was always packed, but that disappeared. And the Twipys was a real classy way for everybody. The place was packed.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun atmosphere. You had all,
Yeah.
and not only for the content creators, and I'm not going to win in shit if the Twippies, I don't care. But I just want to be there and get nominated and watch you guys do it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And maybe they could have fewer categories. I don't think, especially with pinballs when they say the best pinball. But
Right.
best mod is a great category.
Yeah. Well, we're not saying, Colin, that this is all on you. Here's what I'm saying. I raise my hand. I'm willing to help. Wormhole's in it. We will help you bring the Twippies back to TPF 2025.
And God willing, I should be there.
And yeah, absolutely. And you will host and win your third Twippy.
I would
Congratulations.
love to win. It's kind of bad when I give myself the award, though. But I don't know. There's a
I'll be
lot of newbies that
yeah.
are doing videos. Retro Ralph, Carrie
Yeah.
Hardy,
There's a lot. They do a good job. And
Don's Pinball Podcast is doing videos now. Uh, there's a lot of competition. We kind of fell into the live videos because people seem to like it, and we can bounce around and do different things that are fun. Last week we featured a very rare video game right here. I bought this brand new. It's a Sega game called Digger. Digger. Beautiful color. It came out in 1979. As far as I know, this is the only surviving cocktail table. There are uprates. Doc Mack has an uprate digger. The
All right.
problem with anything but a cocktail is this allows interactive play. Two people opposite each other, and they play against the common enemy, the crabs that are trying to eat you.
Are you selling?
Colors are beautiful, great sound. Saget did a wonderful job. It was just difficult. Once you learn it, it becomes you love playing it because every screen is different. There's 0 patterns to the mazes. 0. The crabs are blind. You have no idea where they're going to turn.
Are you selling it?
No.
Oh.
My wife will when I'm dead.
I just didn't know if you would send me a 10% commission if we sell it right here.
No. I already have 2 people that want it badly, but I'm keeping it here because it deserves to be shown to people.
Yeah.
And we'll occasionally play it on our live show, but we played it extensively last show. And I was able to show people, the fun. We turned the lights out. I think ideally I should take the top glass off so there's no reflection at all. But it looked good. I think on the video playback, it looked pretty good.
We have a Wormhole Discord channel, and we received a bunch of questions from the group for you. So I'm going to go through some
Go ahead.
questions from my Discord channel. Corey Westphal asked, what pinball machine have you seen the most come and go from your warehouse?
Pinbot.
Okay.
We have sold probably 175 different pinbots. A lot of them over the years. Condition, a lot of them, not a lot, but probably 30 or 40 of them were rough, and they were much cheaper. No topper. See, remember, in the old days, nobody was reproing anything.
Yeah.
Broke a plastic on a game that was 10 years old. That's it. You had to make your own out of Lexan. So a lot of these games, you had to fix yourself. I remember before we had painters and stuff. Now we're talking about when we were selling pinbots for $11.99, $12.99.
Mm-hmm.
Paint was really beat. You spatter painted it. It was a black texture paint, and people loved it back then. Now, of course, the beauty is you can wash it off, and our Steve can repaint it, the original colors, silk screened it, or you can put new artwork. So there's a lot of things you can do, but there comes a time when you have to decide. So we call them beaters,
Yeah.
games that we don't really they play great, but they're beaters.
Yeah.
Probably number two would probably be F-14 Tomcat.
Okay.
Sold a lot of them, a lot. And I'm going to say maybe 24 of them didn't have the domes anymore.
Okay.
The vendors took the domes off the top. They threw the mechanism out. So you just had a piece of wood on the top. But once again, it was a cheap pinball in the old days. Games like Gottlieb's Amazon, there were a million of them in Philadelphia because Stan Harris, one of the biggest operators on the East Coast, and he got the games directly from Gottlieb. He was the Gottlieb tester. He got every Gottlieb pinball ever made. He got Kubert's Quest. He got 15 of them. I mean, nobody had them. There's so few out, but he would beat the hell out of them. I mean, they got millions of plays. The cabinets were beat, and we were buying them at Christmas time, $200 each.
Mm.
Yeah, all lined up. He strapped the head to the body with a steel strap on the legs.
Yeah,
cutting into the paint. $200 a piece. Amazon hunts, ice fevers, jacks to open, royal flush, rack 'em up. 200 a piece. We'd sell them for $7.99 at Christmas.
nice.
And we got a lot of pinballs into homes. Over 35,000. We went over 30.
That's what I wanted to ask. Okay, because Brian Foytik asked the next question. Can you estimate how many machines, both pins and arcades, you sold? 35,000?
I mean, pinballs are more difficult to sell than Pac-Mans. I've already sold 2,500 multicades.
Oh, wow.
60 games of Miss Pac-Mans. We sold 2,000 or 3,000. Then Pac-Mans and then Super Pac-Mans, asteroids, tons of asteroids. Probably 200 or 300 asteroids. Space Invaders. I in the old days, I kept records on Rolodex cards.
Sure.
And then we got a DOS computer, I think in 84, 85. I started having limited access because we couldn't, the computers were so stupid, you couldn't have a ton of information. And then, then of course, and now there's Excel and everything, so we can keep better track. We're converting our DOS files, all that, into a master list, so I can instantly type in asteroids, and it'll bring up every asteroids I ever sold. Now we back them out if they get traded and are sold back. I just did that. We just took a hot hand out. I sold it to this lady in 2000. She didn't want it anymore. She paid $9.99 for it. No longer worked. She bought it in the year 2000, so 24 years ago. I bought it for 400 cash. She was thrilled because they had it for 24 years.
Yeah.
And it only cost her $600. So she was happy, and I got the game in. We ended up having to put new power supply board in. The game was dirty, and but we'll run it through our shop. We'll paint it if necessary, if somebody wants to pay the full retail, and that'll be back in the marketplace. But we took her out, so she is no longer, we have no record of her anymore.
New record.
The record is gone, and that hot hand will, when somebody buys it,
a new home
back into the system. So
all right.
Added it. What's the next question?
No. This is our rapid fire question and answer game.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is called the Hurry Up. I'm your game show host, Todd Tuckey, Jamie Birchall. These questions were written by my co-hosts on Twitch, Donovan Wade, and Nudge Magazine's own Ian Jacoby. Are we ready? These are my rapid fire. Which Philadelphia sports teams fans are the worst? Philadelphia 76ers, Phillies, Eagles, or Flyers?
Eagles.
Rarest pinball machine you've ever worked on or sold?
That Varcon, Joust Cocktail.
You studied filmmaking at Temple. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, Wizard of Oz.
Did you ever watch Wizard of Oz with the Pink Floyd?
I have.
It's fun. It's good.
I have watched it.
It's called like the Wizard of Pink or the
It's hard to believe it matches up.
I know it really, really, really does though, and it's really cool. We're gonna do a showing at the Wormhole. All right, sorry, back to the show. Out of all the awards and recognitions, which one is the most special for you?
Ooh. Uh, well, I haven't been gotten a lot of pinball awards, but the Twipy. I think my most exciting award was the second Twipy I won.
There you go.
Everybody standing up. I was like, I was flustered and I couldn't believe it. So I was near tears.
Todd
So I think that was my most exciting thing.
There you go. Todd Tuckey's #1 preventative maintenance tip for pinball machine owners.
Wipe it down, clean it, clean the playfield. Lemon pledge is fine. If you don't have pinball wax, keep the playfield clean.
What's the weirdest thing you found inside a pinball or arcade cabinet?
4 dead bats.
Okay.
Shuffle alley.
Best American founding father that you would have liked to have partied with?
Ben Franklin.
Absolutely. That's the only answer, right? He sounds awesome. Three Stooges or Marx Brothers?
Three Stooges.
Pats or Geno's?
I would say Pat's.
Okay.
He's also a customer of ours.
Oh, well, there you go. Cheese whiz or provolone on your cheesesteak?
I like provolone. I don't like cheese whiz.
Yeah, me too. All right. I like ketchup on my Philly cheesesteak, Todd.
So do I.
Is that sacrilegious? Yes or no?
And steamed onions. I like sauteed onions.
No onions, just provolone cheese, meat, and ketchup for Jamie. All right. And finally, what is your favorite expo to attend?
I'm going to have to say Pintastic.
All right.
It's become a favorite now.
I'm sure they love having you.
We have a lot of fun. We do.
Todd, thank you.
I liked it at the old hotel, but it doesn't matter.
They get too big. They got to move to new hotels. I mean, these things happen. Todd, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Can't wait to see you again. TPF 2025 is when I'll see you again.
In March. Yep. 2025.
We will work on the Twipys. We're going to work on this.
It would be fun to do it again.
It really would. It would be really fun. And I know it's a lot of work, and I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying, God, it was so great.
Everybody had so much fun. They did. And that drew a lot of people there. And it did. People talked about it. And it was fun to vote. And, it worked out well.
It was fun. It was really great. All right. Please visit TNTAmusements.com for any and all information on how to purchase games, as well as for pinball repair and all the information regarding their showroom. And if you're not following TNT Amusements on YouTube, you're making a ridiculous mistake.
That's right. You better.
Let's get them to 50,000. How do we not
I want to get 50,000 viewers. Come on.
You
subscribe. It just takes a second.
1 second.
And join us every Friday. By the way, every Friday at 9 p.m. we go live. There's a few Fridays we don't, but please join us Friday night. We go live for at least an hour.
All right, Todd. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Guys.
I got you out of here right before the hour. See?
You did. You promised to.
I promised, and I did it. It's perfect.
Good night, folks.
Good night. Todd Tuckey, thank you. That was fun. Who else should I showcase on this podcast? Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or email us up at wormholepinball@gmail.com. Next week, I have another edition of Arcades Across America, and I'm excited to announce that part 2 of that podcast, I'll be joined by my co-host, Co from Quarter Drop Arcade. We'll also be joined by the guys from Lynn's Arcade in Seaside, California, and I'm really looking forward to catching up with Matt again. And the one and only Rob Burke from Pastimes Arcade. I hope to also have Tim Hood from the Wormhole on that podcast as well. So it'll be a great podcast, not only showcasing Pastimes and Lynn's Arcade, but picking their brains as we roll out our new building, Wormhole East, and everything that we're doing here in Houston, as well as help out my boy Co on his journey to open the Quarter Drop Arcade. All right. Thanks for listening and watching. Numbers have just been amazing. Let's keep it up and tell your friends about us. For Wormhole Pinball, I am Jamie Burchell. Remember, don't be an asshole.